Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores, or I go to estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for things that either I find interesting or that personally appeal to me in some way, or that I think you guys would find interesting. And it's really nice when I get something that hits basically every point at once. So here's what I've got to say. I have is this, and it's kind of big, and I actually hope it shows up on camera. This is absolutely glorious. This is a heavy hand-blown green teal glass. Teal, I would say, more than green. It's got that really lovely jewel color going on, and it is a hand-blown glass pitcher. You can see the pontil there. It's been smoothed out. Now you can also see as well there's a few signs there of that essentially wear on the base. This is vintage. And I don't know if it shows up properly in the light, but if you really turn into this and kind of look it over, you can see the kind of essentially the flashes of the jewel color inside the picture itself. This would have been absolutely spectacular if people filled it full of water and used it. You can see as well it's just a slight little bit lighter here than it is around the rim. And it has this amazing controlled bubble effect. You can see the bubbles here are just kind of, essentially as they go up, they get to stretch out and become elongated until they end up in this weird stripes, essentially. The bubbles just get drawn up like that. It is a truly amazing blown glass piece. It really is incredibly beautiful. And I'm going to do my best to measure it now. It is about 10 inches tall. And I'm going to try and be careful about this now, because this spout does come out a little bit. All right, let's say 6.5 inches across from the handle to the spout. And again, eyeballing it a bit. Let's say 5.5 inches across otherwise. Now, I did actually clean this. I cleaned it out very well. I have a set of essentially these sponge brushes that I use specifically for cleaning things like difficult to clean glassware. Anything that kind of has like a very narrow neck or has like this wide base that would make it kind of tricky to get to. If you ever actually want something like this, or if you have pieces that are difficult to clean, what you really need to do is go into like a specialty kitchen supply store and essentially look for a set of brushes or scrubbies that would have been used to clean like wine decanters. They basically look like these really long, like these long thin kind of like foam scrubbers, except that they've got a wire in the middle, so you can move them and kind of turn them into whatever shape you want. And you basically just shove them into the wine bottle and then scrub them around. And this goes for the same for stuff like this, so something with a very narrow neck. But anyway, I got this for $4 in a thrift store. I picked it up because it was absolutely fabulous, and I saw it even though it was covered in grime and dirt. If any of you guys follow me on Twitter, I think I put up a picture of it before and after. You could not see any of this beautiful shine. It was completely clouded over. There was a thick layer of grease in it, and there was dust, and it looked like it'd been left on a counter in a kitchen for 40 years. It was incredibly disgusting. I ended up picking it up because I knew straight away as soon as I saw it that it was something really special, that it was something incredibly beautiful. And it turns out that obviously my instincts were good. It is something great. Now I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to talk about it. Because again, bearing in mind, it's obviously it's glass. Glass is unmarked. What do we think this is? Where am I? Here we go. So the nice thing about this is that this is actually Bischoff, okay? Now, I was thrown by this, like, kind of to start with, because I picked it up and the first things I thought was, that's a very interesting looking spout. If I can avoid hitting the camera. I think maybe it might be Blenko. But Blenko is essentially another one of those, like well-known kind of mid-century art glass companies. You know, if you're into art glass around North America or whatever, you've definitely heard of them. So anyway, I looked at this and I saw that the elongated spout, and I thought, well, maybe it's Blenko. Maybe it is. It looks so pretty. And I ended up doing some research on it, and I still couldn't quite puzzle it out. And then I asked, obviously, on the glass collecting subreddit, and from that point, I just basically took a guess there's essentially Blenko, Bischoff, and Erickson. There's 3 companies. They're all just kind of related, and they had designers working for all 3 of them. And you have to try and kind of play this little game of which one is it. But the consensus there was essentially that this is a Bischoff picture. And that led me obviously to this stuff. Oh, come on. Which is the actual design of Bischoff. And one thing that I have noticed from looking at the Bischoff work is that this style of controlled bubble kind of pops up quite a bit, and also gets kind of mixed in with Blenko. So if you just look at Bischoff and then bubbles, let's see if we can get some more examples. There's another one of this is another kind of the pictures, and then there's a good example. You can see here that this is an art glass amber kind of vase or what have you. As far as I know, there is I did do some research. This one actually shows up in a catalogue somewhere online, just to show that yes, this particular style is definitely a Bischoff thing. You can see here small bubbles there, and as it goes up, it twists and becomes elongated up the spout. So that kind of gives us something to work with. Okay, yeah, the likelihood is this is Bischoff. And like it's still not certain, unfortunately, because Bischoff, Erickson, and Blenko were so related. This is just our best guess right now. But anyway, what do we actually know about Bischoff themselves? Now, I found this very interesting article. This is from this guy Wayne Husted, and he was a designer back in the 60s. And he basically designed a lot of this lovely art glass. And there's an entire article here about like effectively his adventures with the Bischoff company. And basically the long and short of it is that the Bischoff, the glass company, was founded in Culloden, West Virginia. Again, West Virginia is practically the home of mid-century, like North American glass at this point. So it was founded in West Virginia in 1922. In 1963, the company was sold to Lancaster Colony Corporation based in Ohio. Now, Lancaster Colony, by the way, are the same guys who bought a controlling interest in Indiana glass around this time. So this was kind of consolidation, whatever going on anyway. But Bischoff essentially got kind of absorbed into Lancaster Colony and they just kind of added it to the portfolio from which Indiana glass was also a part. But Bischoff was very much about the art glass. So at the time that this guy Wayne was actually working for them, like he was essentially designing new pieces for Bischoff along with some of the earlier work. This is kind of where our catalogue references are coming from now anyway. And the whole kind of, like the whole article here is incredibly interesting. I'll link it down in the description if you're curious. I mean, it's very interesting kind of like, oh, here's how kind of, you know, this is the glass business in the 1960s. It's good fun. Anyway, so apart from that, if we actually just want to take a look around and find out more about this piece in particular, it's being called the Sutton picture. And the problem with this is that I cannot find a reference for this anywhere except random listings online. This is not good. Bearing in mind as well, because I've said it before several times, there is a problem with bad information being propagated around Google. Like you can definitely look at these things like the photo references and look for commonalities and look essentially for what the hive mind collectively thinks an object might be. This is not to say that it actually is that. It's just that this is kind of what the consensus is, and the consensus can very easily be wrong because, again, bad information does propagate out there. When someone gets the wrong idea of what it is, and then someone else will look at it and go, oh, that's what that is, and then just they also put that into their listing. So I'm kind of wary about just looking at listings alone and not having an actual reference. And unfortunately, I've been having a hell of a time actually finding any of the old Bischoff catalogues. So yeah, I don't know where this reference to the Sutton picture actually comes from. Possibly I'll find out in future. I'll definitely keep looking into it. Just, you know, I'll be looking out for stuff like this now. Now that I've seen it once, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out. Maybe I'll see another one. But anyway, apart from this, the pictures, like if this is actually what it is, the colours are phenomenal. And one thing I did notice looking at some of the pictures of Bischoff glass, at least from our reference from Wayne himself, is that the colours are amazing. The colours are absolutely, truly stellar. Like this one, I can't even decide which colour it is. I think it might be the aqua, or I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of a little bit in between all of that. Like this is the colour I would actually more closely associate with, shall I say, like the Pyrex basket weave, the peacock colour that I found, and that was like the 1980s. And this is like, if this is actually Bischoff, it'd have to be 1960s at the very latest, obviously, because that was when they were sold off. So yeah, begs the question. A lot of confusion. It's still a lovely, lovely piece, which is kind of like the upside to all of this. Now the other question is, how do we know it's not Blenko? And the thing is that I'm not entirely sure, but for Blenko at least we have a lovely reference, and that is Blenko themselves. They place all of their old product catalogues online, and you can look through them. I will probably be spending quite a while going through all of these and see if I can spot a reference to this particular little picture. It's possible, maybe not likely, possible that this will show up in Blenko catalogue somewhere, but there's an amazing reference. I definitely recommend, if you're looking for Blenko, you want to be looking at this, and I'm going to put a link down in the description again for you guys to take a look at if you're interested. Anyway, so having said all of that, what is this actually worth? Prices are going to vary. It is vintage art glass, you know. I've seen prices anywhere up to like $100, like US. I would say, considering that I bought it for $5 Canadian, I'm probably going to put it up on Etsy and sell it for maybe $50 with free shipping or something like that. I think that's about what it's worth. It is a phenomenal piece and definitely easily worth that. It's just quite heavy, and I would estimate that, like, if I was going to actually sell it and ship it somewhere in North America, it's going to cost about $20 Canadian just to ship. So I'm gonna have to bear that in mind when I actually work out like how much it should actually be selling for. I think about $50 Canadian, could then 20 of that becomes the actual shipping cost, and then you sell it for 30, and that's a nice kind of profit for me. I have considered keeping it because it is beautiful, but I have definitely given myself a rule. I'm not keeping anything unless it's actual legitimate Murano, because if I try to collect all the art glass, I'm not going to have any room left. So there you go. Very happy that I found this. Is definitely something unusual, something incredibly beautiful. So this is my small joyful thing for the day. I hope you guys like it as well. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.